Let's move on to our guy, Teddy Covers, joining us every morning, representing Las Vegas, Nevada. He was right about the Twins and Porcello shitting the bed. I took it badly in that Red Sox game yesterday. I thought maybe a little late comeback was going to happen. It did not transpire. Disappointing for me. Teddy Covers, how are you doing Wednesday morning?
You got most of that comeback. You didn't get all of it, but you got most of it. Which, I mean, I guess if you were taking a run and a half, it would have worked. But that's one I got right. Frankly, when it comes to MLB right now, for my clients, I'm putting out a couple of plays a week. It's not even a daily thing for me. So I'm rooting for you in baseball more than I'm rooting for me, Jimmy. I hope you win them all.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, speaking of, let's start with baseball quickly because we just watched that miracle 7-run comeback last night with the Mets, Washington, and now they turn it around very early. This game is popping off in about an hour and 10, 15 minutes. Wheeler Sanchez, Parlay Poppy came in backing the Nationals' first 5, and I went along with them here. I am a little concerned that Wheeler's turned it around with his last start at Philadelphia, but he did. Tom Marino was talking about him dealing with arm fatigue. In this morning game, Mets-Nationals, it opened at a 10 total. It was juiced to the over. It's now slightly juiced to the under at 10. And Washington opening up at minus 120. They're now minus 119. You have any feel for what's going to happen this morning in Mets-Nationals?
I don't trust the Mets. I mean, when you're talking about that type of a meltdown in the ninth inning, where teams have been, 162-0 this year when leading by 6+ in the ninth, and then you play the next day early start? No, I don't want the team that blew that lead, especially because Washington's the better of these two teams. So for me, it's a one-way game. I'm either betting the Nats or I'm leaving it alone. And you want first 5, I wouldn't talk you out of that. But full game, I wouldn't talk you out of that either. I do think Washington is the better of these two teams. And, Wheeler's not a guy who I'm in a rush to get to the betting window to support.
I like it. I did just take the first 5. I also just want to talk to you about getting in the way of streaks in MLB. I know this is something that will hurt you in the long run, but I'm doing that today with Madison Bumgarner on the bump against Waka. This team, the Cardinals and Schilt, they keep winning, and all respect to them because this is now their 7th game in like 70 hours, and Waka is going on 3 days rest, so he's only going to go 2 or 3 innings. And the Giants have won 11 out of their last 13 games with Bumgarner on the mound. So I am backing Bumgarner first 5 in full game at plus prices. What do you think about getting in the way of streaks in MLB? And what do you think about Bummy on the mound for the Giants tonight?
So it's an excellent question, Jimmy. And the answer is it depends. In general, I want to be riding streaks, particularly total streaks in MLB, because they can stay under the radar for weeks on end. But I like to be riding streaks as opposed to trying to step in front of. Stepping in front of them. That being said, if you want to take one shot, I'm not saying, all right, if the Cardinals win today and the Giants lose today, I'm going to bet the Giants again tomorrow. I'm going to bet the Giants again the next day. No, if you see one game and there's one spot, you say, yeah, this is the spot they're supposed to lose. I have no problem with you stepping in front of that streak. And given what you said about how the Giants play with their ace on the hill, and given what you know about the St. Louis pitching staff for today, it makes a ton of sense. So there's not a chance I'm going to talk you out of it. I tend to handicap more team, less starting pitcher. That being said, the one thing I do pay attention to for a starting pitcher is that team winning with the guy on the hill. I'm not always worried about his stats. I'm not always worried about his advanced metric stats. But I am worried about, is this the day the team shows up to play? And with Bumgarner on the hill for San Fran, that's the day that losing team shows up to play every 5 days. So no problem with the concept of taking one shot here with the San Fran. If they lose today, I wouldn't come back with them tomorrow.
I like it. I like that breakdown very, very much. And I'm on it. I'm all over it. And I'm excited. I got some plus lines on my card. I'm also backing Lance Lynn first 5 with the Rangers. Lance Lynn first 5. I just feel like when he can get away from the heat, he's a bigger, heavier set guy. I also loved him in pinstripes. I believe he steps up in big games. Going to be a little bit cooler for him in New York than it's been in Arlington. And I'm isolating Lynn against Green and the openers that are going to follow the Yankees. Also, I'm expecting maybe the Yankees to sit a couple bats in preparation for this the playoffs that'll be starting in a little while. I got plus 136 on the first 5. Mazzara rested yesterday because they were up against a lefty. I'm also on Lynn first 5 money line against the Yankees. What do you think of that look?
It's not one that stood out to me, Jimmy. And it's not something that I'm dead set against, but I had the Yankees on my short list. I thought the Yankees were cheap. And I understand the starting pitching matchup favors Texas, but that's it. What else favors Texas game? The Yankees bullpen is better. The Yankees lineup is better. The Yankees are in better current form. So I was looking at the Yanks side of this. I thought they like we were saying earlier, in baseball in general, the starting pitching mismatches, I want the teams, not the starting pitching. And here, all right, you say Texas got the better starting pitcher. That's the only edge they have. So if you're going to take them, it makes sense first 5. I don't want the Rangers in this one. The Yankees are the better team. The Yankees are winning this game.
I hear that, and it gives me a little bit of fear, but I do have a plus 136 besides, so I'm gonna roll with that. All right, let's get into college football. Is there a game that's been jumping out at you? Because I have games I'm ready to ask you about, but is there anything that's been jumping off the board at you right now for this big college card coming up this weekend?
Well, first I want to talk about that concept that you just brought up, Jimmy. It's important because you're like, I'm getting a little bit of fear because Teddy gave a little opinion about this game, and now I don't know if my opinion about this game, it's not anything I bet. I'm going to have some opinion on a lot of different games. So are you. We don't bet all of those opinions. And the ones that I don't bet, if you're standing in front of it, good for you. If I'm betting it, you say, all right, well, hey, Teddy over the long term is probably going to win a little bit more than he loses. That's how he's been in the game as long as he has. But for an opinion, I'm like, yeah, I kind of lean this way. I kind of lean towards the Yankees. No fear, Jimmy. That's my point. No fear. Don't be afraid.
I like it.
Why am I telling you? You know that already.
No, I'm going to make the move, but it does help to hear what your angle is to either give me more confidence or give me time to reflect on it or take some more time to reflect on it. And Russell Gordy says, thank you. Stop betting games on pitchers. It's September. So I hear that, and I hear both sides of the coin. But let's get into, also, I'm very excited to hear what you think about the big Packers-Bears game tomorrow. We can wait till tomorrow if you'd like, but first game of the NFL season, I'm extremely excited to hear. I'm scared. Donnie Rightside on the Audible took the Bears at -3. It was available at -105 at Heritage. But I don't trust Trubisky, and I don't know what the Aaron Rodgers in my head is one that's been beaten and battered for the last 2 years. I don't know what we're going to get from him, but he scares me and he steps up against the Bears. I don't have a play on this game at this point. Have you made a move on the Thursday nighter tomorrow in NFL?
I have.
Ooh.
I've bet it. I've advised my clients to bet it. And it's one that kind of stood out to me at the curtain at 3. I'm interested in the Chicago side. Absolutely. This is the concept here. You talked about Aaron Rodgers versus Trubisky. You say, oh, big advantage Aaron Rodgers. Look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers, not just last year, not just the year before. Go back 4 years for Aaron Rodgers. He's been a good NFL quarterback. He hasn't been an elite one at any stretch during that span. Aaron Rodgers this week is going up against an elite defense. Make no mistake about it. Say whatever you want about the Bears and Trubisky and this and that and the other. What gets overlooked in week 1 or undervalued in week 1? It's good defenses. The Bears have an elite defense. What don't the Packers have? And it's so obvious. You watch them in the preseason. It stood out like a sore thumb repeatedly. Green Bay's got no playmakers, man. Who's the guy on the outside that stretches the defense? They have Devontae Adams and blank. We don't see the tight end. We don't have the running back. We don't have the receivers that stand out. For Green Bay, Rodgers doesn't have the big play weapons. When Aaron Rodgers had 8 weapons to throw to every game, he was an incredible quarterback. With Aaron Rodgers with much fewer weapons than that to throw every game, he's okay. He's okay. But he's not the QB who you fear the same way. Now, the technicals are strongly towards Green Bay in this game. Division dogs week 1 have been very profitable, 17-4-1. My numbers show the last 22 tries in recent seasons. So you can certainly make a case for the home for the road dog in this one, as you can in any of the other NFL division games. But when you look at these two defenses, Chicago's defense is real, Green Bay's isn't. And the offenses, frankly, I rate them pretty equal. So my number came out a little bit higher than the market right now I believe the Bears should be favored. And there's no rush if you like Chicago. My sources tell me that the wise guys haven't made their full move yet on the Packers. This line could go down to 2.5 before kickoff.
Wow, 2.5. That's shocking to me. I feel, and maybe I'd love to hear your take on this. I think people underestimate the loss of Vic Fangio. I think he's a spectacular defensive coordinator. And now he's not there. You don't think that's going to – you think this is surely the number one defense in the NFL even without Vic?
So coming into the preseason, I had downgraded Chicago significantly because of that very issue. I'm a big Vic Fangio believer. If you watch Denver and you get the quotes out of Denver and you've seen the money come on the Broncos in the last, 24 hours against Oakland or 48 hours against Oakland, that's all Fangio money, legitimately. He's a detail guy. And we love the guy that says, no, line up with your left hand 6 inches further out. That's how you win in the NFL. That's what Belichick does. That's what the best coaches do, and Fangio does that. So my initial reaction to the Bears is, yeah, that's huge loss for Chicago without Fangio. And then I watched the defense in the preseason, and I wasn't as worried about the loss of Fangio. The talent level is there. It's not like Fangio is a difference maker, but it's not like the Bears have gone from feast to famine at the defense coordinator position. I think they'll be fine defensively. I don't see the drop-off being dramatic between last year and this year. Now, of course, last year they led the NFL in a bunch of different turnover categories and all of that. And then again, I saw their third-string defenders in the preseason creating turnovers, big plays. So I think that's what the Bears will continue to do. I do look at this defense, if not the best in the NFL, certainly a top 3 unit on the stop side of the football.
I hear you, because Rob Marinelli is now, to me, the best defensive coordinator in the league. And I think that Cowboys defense is capable of taking over that top spot. Let's keep rolling into college football. We had our Sue's 3-8. Actually, I don't want to lead you into games because I'd love to hear what's jumping up the board at you. But we had our Sue's 387, who is in Hawaii, our Hawaii expert. And he said jump all over Hawaii. It's at -5. Now it's at -6.5. So clearly the market moving towards Hawaii. I've not pulled the trigger on this spot. Hawaii, let me pull it up right now. Let me get the, sorry, it's so many games. Here we go. Oregon State at Hawaii. Opened at 4.5. Suze was telling us to hammer it at 5. It's now at 6.5, 7 at 5 dimes. Is this a spot that we should jump on Hawaii as soon as possible?
Yeah, 5 dimes is at 7. DraftKings is at 7 now. Coasts here in Vegas are at 7 now. I like the total more than the side in this. That being said, if you like the side, don't be foolish. Get involved now. This line is clearly on its way up. Okay. Don't know if it gets to 7. It may well get to 7, but it's a type of situation where you see the direction of the market, you lock in at the best number you can get. And then if you decide later in the week you don't like it, maybe come back the other side. You can get a potential middle for you working that way. But whenever you want to get involved in a game and you see that market start to move, boom, get down ASAP. That's one big advantage being able to do this full time as opposed to part time, is that when I see the market move, I can get down. But I like the total more than the side here. I don't trust Hawaii to lay a touchdown in this game. This is why. Do you see Hawaii getting stops? I don't see Hawaii. I saw Hawaii dominate a game last week and then come 1 yard away from the game's going into overtime because they couldn't get stops in the fourth quarter. And hey, great tackle to put Tate down at the 1 line, Tate down at the 1 yard line. Just remind us of the Super Bowl with the Rams and the Titans. Every bit as exciting, that last play, maybe more so because it lasted longer. But it's a Hawaii defense I don't trust to lay points with. Very different scenario this week when last week they're catching doubles. This week now they're laying almost a TD. And we know Oregon State is garbage. I understand that. Oregon State, though, has a quarterback who can throw the football around. We saw it last week. And when you have 2 teams with dicey defenses and a couple of quarterbacks that have been going and throwing the football around all night, yeah, we should expect a shootout. Do I think we're going to see more than 11 touchdowns in this game? I do. 78 the total. Frankly, I don't know where the stops come from. I don't see either team getting stops on a consistent pace in this one. So I can only look at the over. And when I don't trust the defense of the favorite, despite how well they can score, I can't lay. So I won't be laying with Hawaii in this contest.
Oh, and very, very interesting breakdown. I love hearing that. And I love DJ Big Boss. And Sue says, very true, Teddy. DJ Big Boss says, I like Hawaii on the island. This will give us a lot to talk about moving forward. There are some big games that we have yet to talk about, and I want to know what's jumping off the page at you. But first off, let me throw a game at you that we have yet to talk about. That's the Hurricanes going up against the Tar Heels, Miami, North Carolina. Miami opening at -6 on the road, now down to 47.5. This total opening at 48.5, now down to 47.5. Teddy covers Miami, North Carolina.
Yeah, they're all betting. They're going to bet North Carolina. So if you like the Tar Heels, bet them sooner rather than later. That line will go down. When you talk about the coaching from this past weekend, the one thing that stood out to me, everyone's like, North Carolina, whoa, what they did against South Carolina. They were impressive. And they were, although, frankly, a lot of it was South Carolina stinking up the joint, and then Bentley got hurt, and then the play calling was really stupid, and the Gamecocks spent, at least half of that game taking a shotgun, aiming at their foot. Boom, let's blow off the other foot. So North Carolina's getting a lot of credit. In watching that game, look, the Tar Heels were better than expected, but South Carolina was significantly worse than expected. When it comes to coaching brain farts, there were a lot of them in week one. I don't think there was a worse one than Mac Brown's brain fart in that game against South Carolina. With, I believe it was 9 seconds left from near midfield, they were in their own territory. 4th down, trying to run out the clock. What do you do in that spot, Jimmy? What do? You have 9 seconds left.
You kneel.
Get 4th down.
Oh, it's 4th down. Mm-hmm. Trying to run out the clock. I guess no time. I guess. I mean,
there's 9 seconds left.
You punt it.
Exactly. You punt it. What did Mac Brown do? He kneeled. He didn't even wait, not even, okay, let's run around and take a safety and then we'll punt that, or it was a kneel. It was a flat out, I don't recognize the game situation that's going on. And then what happened was South Carolina got the ball and had a shot at the end zone when they had no business with that. And yeah, sure, it was the type of brain fart no coach can have. Literally, it was the most egregious mistake I saw any coach make all day. That concerns me. For an older coach just coming back in, it concerns me a lot. Miami's good, all right? Now, this line seems a little bit high. It does, and that's why we're seeing North Carolina money. Miami's good, though. And I think that there's a little bit too much love for the Tar Heels in the market. Now, this may be a situation where North Carolina just flat out power rated wrong going into the season, and that team's 2 touchdowns better than they were last year, and so be it. And then they win this game or come close, and they're the right side. But I do not trust the Tar Heels yet. It's Hurricanes or pass for this better. I love that Frost QB. He looked pretty good last week. And if your QB doesn't make mistakes and your defense doesn't force a lot of mistakes, that's good news for Miami. And North Carolina's defense played better than expected last week, but I think a lot of that was South Carolina's stupid play calling and the fact their QB got hurt and wasn't right throughout the course of the contest. So Tar Heels, to me, a tad bit overvalued this week. I don't want them in this spot.
Interesting. And would you go for a money line score, or would you take the point? Oh, wait, sorry. What am I talking about there?
Miami's shocked there.
Sorry, yeah, Miami's favorite at 4.5. So you're saying, money's going to come in on North Carolina.
There is no rush if you like the Miami side of this game. The money's already come on North Carolina. I anticipate more. My sources here in Vegas are telling me to expect more North Carolina money.
Beautiful. Okay, if you like Miami, wait. Okay, what are games that are jumping out at you right now? Because I've got some games to ask you about, but I'd love to hear what is on your mind this morning, a few days away from kickoff on Saturday.
Sure. I mean, there's a bunch of games that stand out to me. I always got a pretty good short list at this time of the week. I'm just looking over here. But let's talk about Kansas State for a minute. Kansas State, and that current number is still, 23.5 for K-State. They're going up against a Bowling Green team that's just at the bottom. I mean, BG, when you look at the bad teams of the MAC, they're not going to be very competitive. And here's a Kansas State squad, new head coach who we like a lot. All right. And we've seen, I'm getting the sense that we're going to get some Kansas State blowouts, that when they get a chance to smack somebody around, you read between the lines, some of the quotes coming out of Manhattan. And this, to me, looks like a blowout type of team. And Bowling Green is a blowout type of opponent. And Kansas State is not viewed as a bet-on team in the broader betting markets yet. I think there's some value with the Wildcats at 23.5 against Bowling Green this week. That's one that stood out to me. Tulsa stood out to me. Did you watch Tulsa against Michigan State last week? Anyone that watched that game is probably going to be betting on Tulsa this week. They covered the number. Their offense didn't do anything. But their defense was impressive. And I'm not talking one guy or two. They had like 5 different guys making plays all over the field. They blew up the Sparty line, offensive line. Consistently, the pass defense, the cornerbacks were there. The linebackers were there. I was super impressed with Tulsa's defense. Now they're going to play San Jose, and it's a weird point where you're like, Tulsa laying the price on the road to San Jose. There's a class difference between those two teams that I think is very real, particularly in the trenches. And when you can find these early season games where there's a class difference in the trenches and you're laying less than a touchdown, I'm interested. Tulsa Hurricanes, they're a team that has attracted my betting interest for this coming Saturday.
I like it. Tulsa opened at 7-point favorites at BetOnline. They're now at 6.5. There was total open at 54, now at 50.5. Yeah, our Matt Randall, whom we love dearly, he was on the Tulsa team total under in that game last week, and he talked about a minus 76 rush yards, I believe, was the stat for Tulsa. I like that look. Tulsa on the road. Tulsa at 6. So we have 2 spots early from our Teddy covers, and that's Kansas State. That Kansas State look was backed by our Mikey Soto. Says, love this Kansas State pick. Already locked in for me. I thought it was a diamond in the rough. So we have Kansas State and we have Tulsa on the board. Since yesterday, there's been a 1.5 move towards Missouri. You could have got Missouri minus 12.5 yesterday. Now at minus 14. There have been some pretty big moves on this card. And there's some games still that we need to talk about. Another interesting spot is Texas A&M now at 17 at Heritage, down 17. That opened up at 18.5. And Nebraska down to 3.5 point favorites against Colorado. We have Georgia Tech at minus 6.5 against South Florida. We just watched South Florida get annihilated by Wisconsin. Can Georgia Tech do the same things?
So I was just talking about this game in depth, in fact, and my buddy was trying to make a case for the favorite, Georgia Tech. He's like, look at South Florida. I told you that team stunk. Charlie Strong got them all the wrong direction. They can't win. They can't step up, da-da-da-da. All of which is true. I can't lay points with Georgia Tech, let alone more than a field goal. Are you kidding me? No. Georgia Tech, when you take a bunch of guys who've been running option for a decade, a program that's been running option, you say, all right, you guys are going to play spread offense this year. Speed it up, spread it out. That is not a seamless transition. That's not a situation where the coaching staff can just coach them up. They've legitimately recruited different types of players, and when you're changing systems, it means all of a sudden the normal order of things gets upended, and the seniors are walking, and the seniors aren't interested, and the sophomores and freshmen are getting playing time. I don't like Georgia Tech. I don't like Georgia Tech to lay points with them 1 iota, and everyone wants to bet against South Florida. Okay. Bet against them. Not this week. I do not trust. I mean, it's a simple of, can I lay points with this team? And Georgia Tech does not pass that test, let alone laying more than a field goal with that team. No way. Not for this better. So
are you going to back USF, or are you just going to stay off?
There's 70 games on the card this weekend? I'm not looking to bet all 70 games or 60 games, whatever there are. When you count I haven't looked at the FCS games yet, but I will once the lines come out. But there's so many games in college football. College basketball is the same way. Heck, NFL is the same way, where there's 16 games every week. You don't have to bet every game. You don't have to bet most of the games. You're trying to find a handful of spots where you've got some kind of an edge. And those little edges over time will produce a profit. That's the goal. That's the whole game here. It's not, let's get an action on every. No, I'm not an action junkie. And if you do this every day, you can't be an action junkie because you'll go broke. If you do this every day, you have to be looking for the games that stand out, the spots that stand out, the teams that stand out. And neither Georgia Tech nor South Florida is a team that stands out to me as anything but a bet against coming into the season. So, no, I don't want the other side. Hell no. There's a reason South Florida's got the Georgia Tech's laying in this ballgame. It's like the New Mexico State game, against Alabama. Do I want to lay 55? I do not. Is there anything on this earth that can get me to the window with a plus 55 dog? Not much. There's a reason that they're plus 55. Those aren't the teams you want. So, there's lots of games on the card that I'm going to look at again. I go through the card full twice. And there's plenty of games I look at once, say I'm not interested, look at it a second time, I'm not interested, and that's it. I'm done with that game for the week. And I put my focus into the 20 or 25 games on my short list that stand out to me, and that's where I'm reading the local papers, that's where I'm following Twitter, that's where I'm getting the beat writer stuff, that's where I'm crunching the numbers more than a lot of the games that, this Georgia Tech USF game, I'm telling you. I mean, no, I don't want the dog. No, I don't want the favorite. Second look. No, I don't want the dog. No, I don't want the favorite. Done.
I love it. I love it. Juan Ruiz says Teddy knows, baby. Bobby Lee Swagger says, damn, Teddy, preach. Fernando Esquinza, my guy Luis, says, preach, Teddy. And Don Ricci says, discipline. I just did a low bag report on the subject. DX Filer says, thanks for your capping advice, Teddy. All right, we have time for one last game. After Utah put the beat down on BYU in the Holy War, they are opened at 23-point favorites at BetOnline. They're down to 21.5 against Northern Illinois. This total opened up at 43.5. You can get it at 44 at BetOnline or 43 at Pinnacle. Does Utah lay the beat down again against Northern Illinois?
So I was looking at this game pretty closely last night. And my initial gut reaction was, it's a lot of points. Look, Utah is not an explosive team. They're not going to make a ton of big plays on offense. Most of their drives are going to be of the, 10-play, 78-yard variety. They're not going to be the 2-play touchdowns on a consistent basis. That's not the type of team speed that they have. So the Utes have to work for their touchdowns. Northern Illinois has a great track record as a bigger dog. They've stepped up in class fairly well on a consistent basis over the course of the last decade plus. So my first reaction was looking at Northern Illinois plus. And then I started looking at what happens when Utah takes a big step down in class. And they've done very, very well in that role under Whittingham. They smack teams like Northern Illinois. Their dominance in the trenches wears them down. And by the second half, those 3 and 4 yard runs are now 6 and 8 and 10 yard runs. And Zach Moss is going to have a big day. For fantasy purposes, he might be a guy you're looking at. So when my gut reaction, my initial lean was Northern Illinois, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, you can make a pretty good case for Utah in this game. That for me is enough. I leave it alone.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. And what's happened to me down here is that just delivering content and being so focused on content, I start reaching and my quantity of plays is increased dramatically, and my unit size has gone down because my quantity of plays has gone up, and I need to hear that little the knowledge that you were dropping there. I need to hear it more than anybody else, I think, because my quantity of plays is way.
Hey, look, Jimmy, every lesson that I've learned the hard way, just like you, just like most bettors out there. You know what I mean? It's not like I come in and go, oh, I know everything. I thought I did. When I moved out to Vegas, oh, I know, dude, I'm going to own this town in 2 years, And then, this business will humble you. It will humble you repeatedly. And that's good because you want to keep yourself down a notch. You don't want to be, oh, I'm the greatest thing. My shit don't stink. Yeah, all of our shit stinks. We all have losers. We all have bad plays. And we all make mistakes. We're all human. It's minimizing. It's not, you can't be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. Minimize your mistakes.
Yeah, that is absolutely well put, Teddy Covers. Absolutely well put. There he is in the flesh, Teddy Covers. And you can catch him here every single weekday morning, Monday through Friday at 10 to 12 Eastern. And we have him every single show. I'm so excited about having him on our show. Teddy Covers, where can we find you on Twitter?
So what is this? This 3 days now we've been doing this, Jimmy? And I thought for sure you'd be sick of me already. You will be. Just you wait. The preaching gets old after a while. It's real simple. You follow me on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. You can get hold of all my media that I do. And plus, you can get the link for this show every single morning. Thanks for having me on, Jimmy. I really appreciate it. Always fun to talk with you and the low baggers. Good luck tonight, guys.
There he is. Teddy Covers. Absolutely love it. So Teddy Covers liking the Hawaii over. He's liking Kansas State, Tulsa, and when we talked about the Georgia Tech USF game, he showed us how he stays off of games, and he broke that down really, really well.